There was not one sound. I listened.
I turned around, stopped the car, rolled the window down, and by that time it had moved.
It was a bright blue light like a acetylene torch.
The fascination with unidentified objects is not new. As early as 1897, several major American cities saw reports of strange lights or even airships, creating a wave of public wonder long before the first powered flight had even taken place.
Chicago's first recorded experience with a UFO took place in 1897. On April 9th of that year, something with blinking green and white light floated slowly over the city. It could well have been a hoax, but the sight brought huge crowds into the street and left thousands puzzled.
Everything took an official turn in 1947, when a pilot reported 9 glowing objects moving at speeds that seemed impossible for the time. Other witnesses reported similar lights, and even a photograph from that period surfaced. Just weeks later, the famous incident at Roswell further fueled the public's fascination.
In 1947, a civilian pilot named Kenneth Arnold saw 9 objects hovering over Mount Rainier, and for the lack of a better name, called them flying saucers. The phrase stuck, and a modern controversy was born.
Soon after, the US Air Force launched its investigation, and Project Blue Book was born.
There was not one sound. I listened. I spent a lot of time, of the time I was watching it, listening. There was not a sound. In the second place, I have never seen an exhaust coming out of a jet that was colored this beautiful, brilliant white.
I turned around, stopped the car, rolled the window down, and by that time it had moved from the point where they first saw it to above the trees to our left, and then it went into a small cloud. Again, we spotted it to come out of the cloud, and very shortly after that, it quickly disappeared.
It was a bright blue light like a acetylene torch. It had a large body and an electricity taper off. When I first sighted it, it was over in this direction here, and it traveled apparently on this side of the tower and went completely down to the end of the shopping center.
Well, you don't mean, or do you mean, that it came between the tower and you?
Yes, that's what I meant. It
In
came on
fact,
this side of the tower.
This side of the tower?
But to analyze these cases, we have to look at the era in more detail. First, the Cold War. The nuclear threat was at its peak, and the atmosphere was defined by constant monitoring. Any unknown object near a military site was immediately treated as a potential national security risk. Second, the technological evolution. This period saw the sudden shift to jet engines, which radically changed the speeds and shapes people saw in the sky. This was pushed even further by experimental crafts like the X-15, a rocket-powered aircraft that could reach the edge of space, appearing like nothing ever seen before. Third, secret prototypes. Projects like the Avro car looked exactly like the flying saucers from the movies. It is easy to see how a craft with the saucer-like profile of an Avro car, combined with the extreme performance of something like the X-15, could be interpreted as a flying saucer by any observer. But the mystery didn't stay in the sky, and the flying saucer became a permanent fixture in everyday life.
The unidentified flying object, true or false, has become a part of our culture. Dictionaries define it, encyclopedias discuss it, and space-age children have the choice of at least 4 different models in Loop department stores. But the UFO is more than a figment of a child's imagination.
There is no simple answer. This is not simply psychological phenomenon or sociological phenomenon that has died away long ago. We know it's not a secret device. If a secret device had been developed, let's say by the Russians or by this country in 1947, we would know about it now. Something would have happened.
To find out, the Air Force took witness accounts and put them against astronomical records, looking for a natural explanation behind the mystery.
Many UFO cases end with investigation. This is Dearborn Observatory, Northwestern University, a place where man can explore the depths of the universe. Dr. J. Allen Hynek, chairman of the Department of Astronomy, a UFO investigator for the Air Force for the past 18 years.
We have the situation of many observers Mrs. Baumgart, Mr. Welsh, Mr. Rohrer, being separated by several miles, all of them saying that they saw it predominantly in an eastern direction. Now, if it had been extremely close to any one of them, it could not have been seen to the east by all the people. That is, it had to be a fair distance away. And I think you can conclude that this particular sighting was a bolide.
The investigations continued for 2 decades, reaching a tipping point just 2 years before the project's end.
The United States Air Force, in discharging its responsibility for the aerospace defense of the nation, is called upon to investigate reports of unidentified flying objects.
Project Blue Book had 2 main goals. First, to figure out if these objects were a genuine threat to national security, and second, to see if they possessed any advanced technology that we could learn from.
The Air Force has been accused from time to time of hiding information about UFO. What do you have to say to that kind of thing?
Well, these charges are absolutely untrue. Actually, the United States Air Force releases statistics on the UFO phenomena to the Department of Defense press desk periodically, and we've always honored accredited media when they want to investigate a given specific sighting.
There's nothing to hide.
There's nothing to hide at all.
Is there anything in the files, either classified or unclassified, that would indicate that there may be extraterrestrial visitors over here?
First of all, the project is completely unclassified. And there is nothing in the record that could indicate that we have been visited by any advanced civilization.
The project was receiving an average of 2 reports every single day.
How does the Air Force look upon people who make reports of UFO? Do they look on them as qualified observers?
Yes, they do look on them as qualified observers. Actually, most people who report a UFO sighting are patriotic citizens who have been mystified by something that they've seen.
What would you consider as a person qualified to interpret what he sees?
Well, I consider astronomers are genuinely expert in their field. First of all, they have a tremendous advantage over the other physical scientists, and that is that they have powerful telescope and photographic equipment to confirm their epicity.
Do astronomical laboratories make any contribution to the UFO program?
In a negative way, they do, because I've never received a UFO report from an observer first.
Not a one.
Not a single one.
The committee concluded that in the 19 years since the first UFO was sighted, there has been no evidence that unidentified flying objects are a threat to our national security.
In December 1969, Project Blue Book was officially closed. Out of more than 12,000 cases, the vast majority were explained as simple things like weather balloons or stars. However, a core of 5% remained kept as unidentified. As the moon landing shifted the focus from what was visiting us to where we could go, those 701 unresolved cases remain the foundation of one of the 20th century greatest mysteries.